Hello everyone. I am Dreaming Stories and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep. So before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from and what time are you watching? Now get comfortable and relax. The first time I stepped into my grandmother's house after the funeral, it didn't feel like grief, it felt like trespassing. It was a two-story Victorian on the edge of Wildfern, a quiet town in northern Ontario, where the trees grew taller than the telephone poles and people still waved at strangers. My grandmother, Miriam Howell, had lived alone in the house for as long as anyone could remember. It stood apart from the other homes on a crumbling patch of land just off Aspen Hollow Road, like it had grown there rather than been built. I'd only visited a few times as a kid, enough to remember the smell of old pine, the yellowing wallpaper, and the way the floorboards moaned like they were holding secrets. She left the house to me in her will. Me, a third-year architecture student who could barely afford rent, let alone tuition. It was meant to be a blessing. But it didn't feel that way. I moved in 2 weeks after the reading of the will, dropping my 2 duffel bags at the front door while trying not to inhale too deeply. The air inside was thick and musty, like the house had been holding its breath since the day she died. The power still worked, miraculously. So did the water. And there was internet, though only just. The first few nights were uneventful. I'd sleep on the ancient couch in the living room while slowly cleaning up each room during the day. Most of the furniture had covers on them, as if someone expected to return. Her bedroom was untouched, the bed made neatly, a copy of Wuthering Heights still open on the nightstand. Dust clung to everything like an afterthought. I avoided the basement at first. Not because of fear, I just didn't have a reason. The laundry machines upstairs worked fine, and I had enough on my plate with the kitchen renovation. But that changed on the 5th day. I was knocking out an old cabinet near the back of the pantry when I noticed a vent, an odd one, low and narrow, partially concealed behind a crumbling plaster wall. Curious, I pried the loose panel aside and revealed not ductwork, but a gap in the wall. A narrow corridor behind the pantry. It led to a wooden door I hadn't noticed in the basement layout. I grabbed a flashlight and a crowbar, heart thumping with a mix of curiosity and something sharper, like memory, but darker. The door groaned open like it hadn't been used in decades. Dust swirled in the beam of my flashlight as I stepped into the hidden space. The walls were unfinished concrete, and the room was empty save for a tarp-covered object leaning against the far wall. I peeled back the tarp slowly, revealing what was unmistakably an antique mirror, 8 feet tall and framed in twisted, vine-like mahogany. It looked older than the house itself, the kind of thing that would sit in the corner of a museum, not the hidden room of a dead woman's house. The glass wasn't broken, but it wasn't clean either. I reached out and wiped the dust away with my sleeve. And that's when I saw it. Not the reflection of the basement. But a room. My living room. Or something like it. Except it was decaying. The hardwood was warped and blackened, like it had been soaked and left to rot. The wallpaper peeled in long, dangling strips, and the ceiling sagged with water damage. The couch, my grandmother's old floral print sofa, sat right where it did upstairs, but the cushions were torn and stained. Shadows collected in the corners like mold. And on the couch, a man. He sat still, hunched forward, elbows on knees, face hidden in his hands. I blinked and stepped back, my flashlight trembling. There was no one on the actual couch upstairs. I had just been there. I would have seen him. Heard him. I looked back at the mirror. The man was gone. I swallowed hard, a laugh catching in my throat. I must have imagined it. The mind plays tricks, right? Especially in the dark. Especially when you haven't slept well in days. Still, I didn't move. Something about the mirror felt wrong, not just uncanny, but deliberate. Like it was meant to be hidden. Like it didn't want to be found. I covered it back up and closed the hidden door. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. The dream started that night. I was sitting on the couch, but it wasn't the real couch. It was the one from the mirror, rotting, broken, damp. The walls around me pulsed with moisture, and the light above flickered like a dying firefly. I couldn't move. Couldn't scream. And then, from across the room, the mirror appeared. But this time, I wasn't looking into it. It was looking at me. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, the image burned behind my eyes like a flashbulb. I sat up on the couch, turned on every light in the house, and stayed awake until dawn. The next morning, I went back down to the hidden room, convinced that I needed to prove something to myself. That it was just a reflection trick, maybe a two-way window into another part of the house. Something logical. Something normal. I uncovered the mirror. The reflection was the same. The same rotting living room. The same broken furniture. But this time, no man on the couch. I raised my hand. The reflection copied it. I turned my head. The reflection turned, too. So far, so good. I took a step back, still watching. The reflection followed. But then, just before I turned away, I caught it. A flicker. The reflection lagged by half a second. It blinked after I did. I froze. My stomach dropped into my shoes, and I couldn't stop staring. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it echo against the basement walls. I lifted my hand again, slow, deliberate. The reflection copied it, a perfect mimic. But the eyes were wrong. I don't know how to explain it, but the eyes weren't mine. They were colder. Sharper. A little too wide. Then I did something I shouldn't have. I smiled. The reflection did too. Except I didn't feel anything. My face didn't move. The smile belonged only to the man in the mirror. I backed away, slammed the tarp down, and locked the door behind me. I didn't go back to the basement for 2 days. I tried to focus on other things, the leaky faucet in the bathroom, the cracked molding in the dining room, the stained windows in the attic. But I couldn't stop thinking about that smile. Or the version of my house in the reflection, the one that looked like it had been abandoned for decades. Or the fact that someone else had been sitting in my living room, watching something, waiting. Maybe watching me. On the third day, I invited my best friend Ryan over. He was the kind of guy who didn't believe in anything he couldn't hold, atheist, pragmatist, future engineer. I figured if anyone could help me prove I wasn't going crazy, it would be him. I didn't tell him everything at first. Just that I found a weird mirror. "You dragged me across town for a mirror," he asked, wrinkling his nose as we stepped into the basement. "What is this, Antiques Roadshow, Haunted Edition?" "Just, look." I uncovered the mirror. Ryan frowned. "Okay. That's definitely not this room." I stared at him. "You see it too?" He nodded slowly, tilting his head. "Yeah. That's your living room, right? Except, it looks like a meth lab exploded in it." I didn't laugh. I couldn't. He reached out to touch the glass. I grabbed his wrist. "Don't. Dude, it's a mirror." "I don't think it is." He gave me a long, skeptical look. "Are you high?" "Just watch it for a sec," I said. "Try smiling." He arched an eyebrow and forced a smile. The reflection copied him, perfectly. Then Ryan stopped smiling. But the reflection didn't. It kept smiling. Ryan stepped back, visibly shaken. "Okay. What the hell?" You see it too, I whispered. It's not just me. No. That's not right. That's like AI glitch stuff. We stood in silence for a long time. Then Ryan said the one thing I'd been avoiding. Dude. I think your grandma was into some serious weird shit. We went upstairs without another word. I offered Ryan a drink, but he shook his head, pacing around the kitchen like he was trying to shake something off his skin. What do you think it is? I finally asked, leaning against the counter. A trick mirror? Camera? Projection? He stopped and looked at me, dead serious. I don't know, man. I've seen weird mirrors before, optical illusions, museum stuff. But this? This isn't trick glass. That was your living room. And it wasn't a reflection, it was like a feed. A live view of something that doesn't exist. A parallel version of my house. Or the future. Or the past. Ryan dragged a hand through his hair. Or maybe someone built a replica of your living room and installed a one-way mirror. Like a psychological experiment. That version looked like it had been abandoned for years. Ryan's voice lowered. And that version of you? It smiled when you didn't. That night, Ryan refused to sleep over. I'm not saying burn the house down, he said as he grabbed his keys, but I wouldn't be alone here. Call someone. A priest. A physicist. I don't know. Just don't ignore it. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're the most skeptical guy I know. And even you're saying this thing is real. He paused at the door. I'm saying it's not normal. Be careful. After he left, I didn't go to bed. I sat on the couch, eyes flicking between the hallway and the basement door every few minutes. The night stretched long. Every creak of the wood, every groan of the pipes, made my muscles tense. At around 2 a.m., I gave in. I had to know more. I went back down, flashlight in hand, and uncovered the mirror again. The same rotted version of my living room stared back at me. Only now the wallpaper looked worse, peeled nearly to the baseboards, as if time was passing faster on that side of the glass. The couch was empty. But I wasn't. In the mirror, I was standing behind the couch. Pale. Watching. And smiling. I blinked. Looked down at myself. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't even moving. When I looked back up, the version of me in the mirror stepped forward. I didn't move. It stepped again. I took a shaky breath and reached out toward the mirror, my fingers trembling as they hovered over the surface. The other me tilted his head. Still smiling. I backed away. Then he stopped. For the first time, the figure in the mirror didn't mirror me at all. He just stood there, behind the couch, staring. And then, without warning, he raised his hand and pointed directly at me. I dropped the flashlight. The beam spun in circles on the concrete as I backed out of the room, heart pounding like a drum against my ribs. I slammed the hidden door shut, barricaded it with a chair, and ran upstairs. I stayed out of the basement for the next 3 days. I didn't sleep much. I kept my phone camera pointed at the couch at all times, checking it constantly. I even thought about setting up a live stream. On the 4th day, I heard something. I was brushing my teeth around midnight when I felt it, a vibration through the floor. Faint, but rhythmic. Like footsteps. I turned off the water and held still. It was coming from below. The basement. I grabbed the flashlight and my phone. Against every instinct I had, I crept down the stairs. The hidden door was still shut, but the chair I'd wedged under the handle was moved. Just a little. But enough to make my throat tighten. I pushed the door open and flicked the light down the hallway. Nothing. Just concrete. The tarp was back over the mirror. I hadn't touched it. Slowly, carefully, I peeled it back. The mirror was dark. Black. No reflection. No room. Just void. I stared. And then, faintly, like a breath pressed against my ear, I heard. "Let me in." I dropped the flashlight again and ran. This time, I didn't bother with barricades. I just locked the front door, turned on every light, and sat on the porch until sunrise. I started researching the house after that. Historical records. Paranormal forums. Mirror folklore. Anything. What I found didn't help. The house had been built in 1892, by a man named Abraham Howell, my great-great-grandfather. A banker by trade, but known in town for his eccentricity. Rumors swirled, seances in the basement, spiritual experiments, mirror scrying. A small article in a local paper from 1921 mentioned a tragedy. Abraham's wife was found dead in the basement, her eyes wide open, her mouth stretched into a smile. The cause? Unexplained. Fright, the coroner wrote. That same year, Abraham vanished. The mirror was never mentioned, but a journal entry I found tucked inside an old trunk in the attic said this. The mirror knows. The mirror remembers. Do not let your reflection linger. It watches. It learns. I took photos. Saved them. Shared them with Ryan, who responded with one word. Get out. But I didn't. Because deep down, a part of me was obsessed. What was it? Why did it reflect a dying version of my house? Why did it, want in? I started recording everything. I set up a motion camera in the basement. Taped a red line on the floor in front of the mirror. Every night, I'd review the footage. And every morning, the red tape was moved. Not peeled up or dragged, perfectly reapplied an inch closer to the mirror. Every single night. I checked the footage. It would go static at exactly 3:07 a.m. Come back at 3:11 a.m. And in those 4 minutes, the tape would be closer. 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 Until it was right at the base of the frame. That was the night I stopped recording. Then came the worst night. I woke up at 3:13 a.m. on the dot. The room was pitch dark. Not just dark, blacked out. My phone wouldn't turn on. The lights wouldn't respond. Even the flashlight flickered and died. I stumbled toward the hallway, heart in my throat. The basement door was open. And there were wet footprints leading up the stairs. Not mine. Bare. Pale. Human. I followed them slowly, dreading what I knew I'd find. They stopped in the living room. Right in front of the couch. I turned slowly, and saw myself sitting there. Same clothes. Same face. But the skin was damp, the hair slicked to the forehead. And the smile. Wide. Hungry. The eyes locked onto mine. And the reflection stood. I couldn't move. My body screamed at me to run, but my legs were stone. The other me, the thing, took a step forward, water dripping from its clothes and splattering on the floor with a sickening patter. Another step. And another. Every part of it mirrored me, same height, same shape, but it was subtly wrong. The skin was too pale, almost bluish. The fingers were just a bit too long. The smile stretched too far, and the eyes, God, the eyes, were empty. Not dead. Not lifeless. Just hollow. Like there was something vast and ancient behind them that didn't care what a person was. Then it spoke. In my voice. But not my tone. Flat. Cold. It's better on my side. My throat worked to form a word, but it came out as a whisper. What do you want? It tilted its head, grinning wider. Trade. And then it lunged. I stumbled back, crashing into the hallway wall, knocking a picture frame to the floor. The sound seemed to break something, my paralysis, or its moment of stillness. I turned and ran, bolting through the kitchen, toward the back door. I fumbled with the lock, hands slick with sweat, heart beating so loud I couldn't hear anything else. Just before I could twist the knob, a hand slammed onto the glass pane beside me. I screamed. It was me. Pressed against the other side of the window. Staring in. Still smiling. No, this side. He was inside. Already. I spun around. Nothing. No one. The kitchen was empty. The hallway was silent. The mirror version of me had vanished. I didn't sleep that night. I barely breathed. By morning, the footprints were gone. The hallway was clean. The frame I knocked down was back on the wall. Everything had reset. As if it never happened. But I knew better. And I wasn't going to pretend anymore. I grabbed my phone and called Ryan. He answered groggily. Dude. It's Saturday. What time is it? I need you to come over. Now. Why? Because I don't think I'm the only one in this house anymore. An hour later, Ryan showed up with a bag full of junk, a crucifix, a bag of rock salt, sage bundles, even a Bible. He said he didn't believe in any of it, but he brought it all anyway. We went into the basement together. I half expected the mirror to be shattered or missing. But it was there. Uncovered. Waiting. No tarp. No dust. Just standing tall, reflecting the rotting version of my house again. Ryan stared at it. Jesus Christ. I looked closer. The couch was back. The walls had peeled further. And the mirror, you could now see another mirror inside the reflection. One that showed my version of the basement. And in that basement, someone was standing in front of it. It was me. I looked at Ryan. That's not me. I know, he said. Then the reflection raised its hand. So did I. Then it waved. I didn't. Okay, Ryan said, backing up. Okay, no. No more. This is cursed shit. This is like The Ring meets The Shining. I think it's trying to get out, I said. He stared at me. Dude, I think it already has. We covered the mirror together, bolted the hidden door shut, and this time nailed boards over it. Then we left the house. For the first time since I moved in, I left. We stayed at a motel that night. Ryan kept the lights on, mumbling to himself about mirror physics and multidimensional bleed. I just stared at the ceiling, trying not to blink, because every time I did, I saw that smiling face again. Around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A notification. Motion detected, basement camera. My heart dropped. I had forgotten the motion alert system was still running, despite the footage blackout. The app gave me a single screenshot. The basement. The hidden room. The mirror. And someone standing in front of it. Not me. Not Ryan. Someone else. But wearing my face. Behind him, I could just make out something tall, and wrong, pressed against the inside of the mirror. Not a reflection. A shape. Like a shadow wearing skin. I turned the phone to Ryan. He stared at the screen and whispered, "Dude, that's not a person." We went back in the morning. Armed with crowbars, sledgehammers, and a rented truck. Ryan wanted to break the mirror. Smash it to dust. But I wasn't sure that would work. Or if it would make things worse. Still, I agreed. We tore the boards down and entered the room. The mirror was uncovered. And the reflection had changed again. It no longer showed the rotting living room. Now it showed us. But not as we were. We looked older. Worn down. Exhausted. And we were crying. Both of us. In the reflection, the Ryan beside me whispered something I couldn't hear. And then he smashed the mirror in the reflection. The glass in front of us didn't break. Instead, a single crack split the surface down the middle. And behind it, just for a second, I saw the man again. The one who looked like me. He was closer. Pressed right against the glass. Hands flat. Eyes wild. Smile gone. Now he looked desperate. Afraid. He mouthed something. I leaned forward. And just before the image vanished, I saw it. Wrong side. We didn't smash it. We couldn't. Not because we were afraid of ghosts or consequences. But because what if? What if the real me was trapped behind the glass? What if I was the reflection? That night, Ryan went home. I stayed in the house. I didn't want to. But I had to know. I had to know if the mirror showed the past. The future. Or something else entirely. And so I went down, one last time, and stood in front of the mirror. I peeled the tarp back. And this time, there was no room. No version of me. No rot. Just blackness. Until I blinked. And I saw it. A hand. Pressing from the inside. Then fingers. Then a face. Mine. But no smile. Just a plea. He mouthed something. Pull me out. And I reached forward. My hand hovered inches from the glass. Every instinct screamed at me to stop. To turn and run. To leave this cursed house, set it on fire, salt the earth, and never look back. But his eyes. They were my eyes. But not cold and glassy like before. These were terrified. Desperate. Human. He mouthed it again. Pull me out. I closed the space and pressed my palm to the mirror. The surface was ice cold, colder than anything I'd ever touched. Like dry ice or a metal pole in January. But I didn't pull away. The other me mirrored me, then slowly pushed his hand forward. And something impossible happened. Our hands touched. Through the glass. No resistance. No surface. Just connection. The sensation was overwhelming, electric, nauseating, wrong. My stomach flipped. My knees buckled. And in an instant, the room around me shifted. The basement, the real one, blurred at the edges. The air grew thick and wet. My skin prickled with static. I looked around. And I realized I was no longer standing in my world. I was on the other side. Everything was quiet. The mirror behind me now reflected the normal basement, my actual one. But I was no longer in it. I turned slowly. The concrete was darker. Wetter. Mold crawled across the walls in pulsing veins. The light bulbs above me were shattered, but a dull red glow filled the space, like light filtering through blood. The air smelled like rot and old copper. I stumbled backward and tripped over something soft. Cloth. I looked down. It was the tarp, the one I'd used to cover the mirror. But here, it was shredded, soaked, and crawling with something I didn't want to name. I stood and looked toward the hallway. But it wasn't there. The space behind the mirror had expanded. The walls were twisted, leaning at unnatural angles. The ceiling dipped too low in places, rising into towering peaks in others. It was like the basement had been rebuilt by memory, but warped. Dreamlike. Or nightmarish. I swallowed hard and called out. Hello. The sound echoed, but in a way that felt mocking. Like the walls themselves were laughing at me. Then a voice came back. Faint. Weak. Over here. I followed it through the corridor of the other basement. The concrete under my shoes squelched with every step. The air buzzed like static, and the glow never grew brighter, but it didn't get darker either. I turned a corner. And found him. Myself. He was curled on the floor, hugging his knees, clothes tattered, eyes wide. Not smiling. Not evil. Just, broken. I knelt beside him. You're me? He flinched. Then nodded, slowly. You're the one that's been in the mirror. He looked up. His voice was raw. No. That was him. I froze. Him. He grabbed my wrist, eyes bloodshot. The one who smiles. And then I heard it. Laughter. Not loud. Not close. But deep. Guttural. From somewhere deeper in the house. Come on, I said. We need to go. I tried, he whispered. I tried for years. I couldn't get out. Every time I touched the glass, he was there. Smiling. Blocking me. How did you get in? I don't remember. I touched the mirror, just like you. There was a pull. A hand. Then nothing but rot. He replaced me. I helped him to his feet. He was weak, like he hadn't eaten in days. Maybe longer. Then, the laughter stopped. And something else began. Footsteps. Wet. Slow. Measured. Getting closer. We moved. Fast. Back through the hallway. Past the bent walls and warped floor. Back to the mirror. The reflection still showed the real basement. Empty. Safe. I turned to him. We go through. Together. He hesitated. What if he's waiting? Then we deal with him. We took each other's hands. One step forward. Another. We touched the mirror. Nothing. It was solid again. I pounded on it. No, no, no. The other me stared at the glass, hopeless. He closed it. I turned, fists clenched, just as the laughter returned, closer now. Louder. Dripping with joy. And then I saw him. Walking slowly down the hall. It was me. Again. But twisted. His skin was bloated, his mouth too wide, his cheeks stretched into a permanent grin that split up into his cheeks. His eyes were black voids, rimmed with red. He wore my favorite hoodie, now shredded and dripping. He tilted his head. Told you it's better here. I pushed the other me behind me and grabbed the nearest thing, a rusted piece of pipe from the floor. Twisted me giggled. Then charged. The fight was chaos. He was strong. Too strong. Every time I swung the pipe, he moved unnaturally fast or twisted around it. His body bent in ways bones shouldn't. His hands clawed at my face, leaving burning trails across my skin. I screamed and tackled him into the wall. He laughed as he hit the concrete, blood, or something blacker, spurting from his mouth. Then he rolled over and vanished. Like smoke. The room went silent. The mirror was glowing. I turned to the other me. He was already at the glass. It shimmered. He looked back. Only one of us can go. No, I said. We both go. He shook his head. If you try to come through with me, it'll stay closed. How do you know? I tried. Years ago. With another version of me. He looked at the glowing mirror, then back to me. Tell Ryan thanks. I stepped forward, but he held up a hand. Live your life. Really live it. Don't waste it like I did. And before I could say another word, he stepped into the mirror and disappeared. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. The glow faded. The glass went black. And then it reflected again. The real basement. Just me. Alone. I touched the glass. It was cold. But solid. I went upstairs. Everything was just as I left it. No rot. No mold. No wrongness. I collapsed on the couch and stared at the ceiling until I cried. Ryan came by the next morning. I told him everything. He didn't question it. He just nodded. Then helped me take the mirror out back. We didn't smash it. We buried it. Deep in the woods. Under layers of rock and salt. We didn't mark the spot. Didn't talk on the way back. Some things don't need a eulogy. A week passed. Then 2. I cleaned the house. Started sleeping again. Smiled without fear. But sometimes. Late at night. I see it. In the corner of the TV. In a window pane. In the gleam of a spoon. A smile. That's not mine. It's been 6 weeks since we buried the mirror. Life has, in theory, gone back to normal. Classes resumed. I picked up shifts at the campus print lab. Ryan and I haven't really spoken about what happened. There's a quiet agreement between us now. We nod when we see each other, speak in half sentences, avoid mirrors, and never ask, "How are you?" like we mean it. The house, for the most part, is calm. But the silence feels staged. Like a set, built to trick me into thinking it's over. Because things are happening again. Small things, at first. The bathroom mirror fogs up with condensation, and writing appears in the misted glass. Not finger-drawn letters. Just outlines. Like something on the other side breathing against it. Once, I saw the shape of a hand. The kitchen window sometimes shows an extra figure in the reflection. Always behind me. Always still. I turn, nothing. At first, I chalked it up to trauma. PTSD. Residual fear. Then, one night, I heard the laugh again. Not loud. Not close. But unmistakable. The same slow, gurgling chuckle from him. The one who smiled too wide. The one I saw in the other basement. I convinced myself it was in my head. That I needed rest. Therapy, maybe. Until the third week. When I started forgetting things. It began with small gaps. Where did I leave my keys? Why did I wake up with dirt under my fingernails? Why was there a bruise on my shoulder shaped like a hand? Then came the dreams. I was back in the house, but not mine. The other one. I'd walk the halls, rot crunching under my feet, black water dripping from the ceiling. I'd open a door and find myself inside, sleeping on the couch. And then I'd turn and look at me. Smile. Wake up. Screaming. Ryan noticed something was wrong. He came over one afternoon with sandwiches and an excuse to check the plumbing, like we were pretending to be normal. "Have you been okay?" he asked, not meeting my eyes. I didn't answer. He looked up. "You're different. I mean, I get it, we both saw some messed up stuff. But there's something off. You don't talk like yourself. You move weird sometimes." I froze. "What do you mean?" He fidgeted. "Sometimes when I talk to you, it's like you're not listening. Like you're watching me instead." I didn't blink. He stepped back. Then asked, quietly, "Are you still you?" The silence between us swelled like a blister. And for a second, just a second, I saw something flicker in the hallway mirror. Behind me. A smile. Ryan must have seen it too. He grabbed his coat and left without a word. That night, I set up cameras again. All over the house. I told myself I needed proof. That I was being cautious. That I wasn't paranoid. But I already knew. I already felt it. Something had followed me back. Or worse. Something had been let out. At 3:07 a.m., the footage cut to static. Same as before. When it returned 4 minutes later, the video showed me. Sleeping. Then standing. Then walking out of frame. But I never left the couch. I reviewed the footage a dozen times, frame by frame. And I saw it. A shape forming behind the glass of the hallway mirror. Tall. Distorted. Smiling. Watching me sleep. And then, reaching through. I stopped watching after that. I smashed every mirror in the house the next morning. All of them. Even the tiny one on the toothpaste cap. The TV. The microwave door. The toaster. Anything that could reflect, I shattered or covered. But the reflections didn't stop. Now they show up in puddles. In my eyes. In dreams. I think they're trying to pull me back. Or maybe replace me again. Or maybe I was replaced already. The house began to change. Not all at once. First it was the paint. Peeling. Darkening. Even when I repainted it, it came back. Then the smell. Damp. Sweet. Like rot. Then the light bulbs, flickering in patterns, like breathing. And the walls. They whisper now. Not full words. Just syllables. Like a song with no melody. But if I listen long enough, I start to understand. They're not just whispers. They're names. Mine. Ryan's. Miriam's. And then one night, the whispers stopped. Replaced by something worse. A voice. My voice. Calling from the basement. I haven't gone down there since the mirror was buried. I kept the door locked. Sealed. I even nailed it shut again. Salted the frame. Prayed. Burned sage. Whatever Ryan's book of occult tricks suggested. But last night, the door was open. Not just unlocked. Hanging open. Waiting. A damp trail of footprints led up to the living room. Stopped in front of the couch. Then turned around. Back to the basement. I stood there for an hour, staring at that open door. Trying to gather the will to go down. But I didn't. I couldn't. Instead, I set up the camera again. One angle. Directly facing the basement door. I sat on the couch. Watching the feed live. At 3:06 a.m., it was quiet. At 3:07 a.m., the screen went dark. When it came back at 3:11 a.m., I was gone. The couch was empty. Footprints led to the basement. And the door slowly swung closed on its own. I'm writing this now because I need someone to know. In case I vanish. In case the thing wearing my face walks out of this house. If you ever find this file, this journal, this log, whatever, don't come looking. Don't dig up the mirror. Don't touch reflective glass. Don't smile when you look in the mirror. Because if you do, it might smile back. I haven't left the house in days. I don't remember the last time I spoke to someone who wasn't me. Or wasn't trying to be me. The voices have stopped pretending to whisper now. They laugh. Full, belly-deep laughter that bounces off the walls like static. Sometimes I think they're in the walls. Sometimes I think they're behind them. Other times, I think they're inside me. The problem is, I'm starting to forget what's real. I hear my own voice down the hall, talking to someone who isn't there. I see shadows move just slightly out of sync with me. I catch glimpses of my face in reflective surfaces, even when I've boarded up every mirror, and I'm not blinking. Not in time. Not with me. It's worse at night. That's when the dreams start. Last night, I found myself back in the other house. The decayed version. But this time, I wasn't a visitor. I was home. I walked the halls barefoot, the floor soft and warm underfoot like overripe fruit. The walls pulsed. Breathed. I knew the layout perfectly. Turn left, molded staircase. Turn right, melted kitchen. No hesitation. As if I'd lived there for years. I heard someone crying. It was coming from the mirror room. But when I opened the door, it wasn't a mirror anymore. It was a window. And on the other side was me. The real me. Slumped on the couch. Staring blankly at the boarded-up wall. Eyes red. Lips dry. Mumbling to himself. He looked up. Right at me. And whispered, "Please wake up." I did. In the hallway. Not the couch. My hands were wet. My feet muddy. The basement door was wide open. That was this morning. I cleaned the floor. Washed my hands. Closed the door. But now I'm sitting here, at the kitchen table, writing this because I can't tell which side I'm on anymore. Did I go through? Did he come out? Or is this another version of me altogether? I tried calling Ryan again. His number was disconnected. I went through my contacts. His name was gone. My call logs? Empty. My phone gallery? All photos of me. Thousands. All the same angle. Taken while I was asleep. I started pacing the house. Room by room. Looking for anything out of place. Then I found it. In the attic. Behind a stack of old suitcases and dusty lamps. A mirror. One I don't remember ever seeing before. Oval shaped. Gold trimmed. Cracked from top to bottom. But not broken. And in it? Not me. Not even the house. Just darkness. Swirling. Alive. When I leaned closer, the reflection changed. A door. Then hands. Pressing against glass. And then a mouth. Opening wider than it should. Like a snake unhinging its jaw. Smiling. I ran. I want to leave. I tried to leave. I grabbed my coat, my keys, made it all the way to the front door. But outside. It was wrong. Too quiet. No wind. No birds. No cars. No sun. Just gray. Like the world had been paused. Or replaced. Like I was on a set. A replica of my street. Perfect down to the cracks in the pavement. But empty. Dead. I turned back inside and closed the door. It clicked shut like a lock. Like a final decision. I haven't tried again since. There's something in the house with me now. I hear it upstairs sometimes. I see it at the top of the stairs. Watching. It doesn't speak. It doesn't move. It just waits. Sometimes I see it sitting at the table across from me, pretending to eat. Other times it lays in bed beside me, perfectly still. I stop turning the lights on. Doesn't matter anymore. The darkness sees better. I think it's waiting for me to give up. To accept that I was always meant to be on this side. That there was never an escape. That the version of me who got out, the one who walked free into the world, isn't the real one. That I'm the reflection. And this is my prison. I tried smashing the mirror in the attic today. Took a hammer. Swung it as hard as I could. It didn't even crack further. It just laughed. I sleep less now. Because every time I do, I lose time. The house changes when I close my eyes. Photos disappear from the walls. Furniture moves 2 inches to the left. The fridge hums in reverse. One morning, I woke up and all the clocks were counting backward. Now I don't sleep at all. I write. I watch. I wait. I'm not sure how much longer I can last. But I want to leave something behind. A record. A warning. Because the mirror isn't just glass. It's not an object. It's a door. And once it opens, it remembers you. Once it sees your face, it won't forget. And if you stare too long, if you ever, even for a second, see yourself smile when you didn't mean to, run. I hear footsteps again. Heavy. Wet. Coming down the hall. They've stopped pretending now. They know I'm listening. I think they're going to open the door. I think they're going to ask me a question. One I won't be able to answer. Because I don't remember which one of us I am anymore. It's happening again. I was in the kitchen, writing, this journal, this confession, this warning, whatever you want to call it, when the overhead light flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Darkness poured in like ink. I sat frozen, hand mid-sentence, pen trembling. And then came the voice. Right behind me. You left the door open. I turned slowly, expecting to see the hallway. I didn't. Behind me was the mirror room. Decayed. Sagging. Walls soft with mold and grief. And the mirror? It wasn't cracked anymore. It was wide open. A perfect black hole in the center of the room. Something stood inside it. And it stepped through. I don't know what it was. I won't pretend I do. It wasn't a person, exactly. It had my shape, my build, my clothes, but it moved like it didn't understand how a body worked. Like it was animating me from memory. And it wore that damn smile. Too wide. Too perfect. Like it had practiced. It didn't speak. Just reached out and placed its hand on my shoulder. I couldn't scream. Couldn't breathe. It leaned in, nose brushing mine, breath warm and wet. And then, in a whisper only I could hear. "You're free now." It turned. And walked out of the room. Leaving me alone. I'm not sure how long I sat there. When the lights came back on, I was back in the kitchen. Alone. But something felt different. Wrong. I looked down at my hand. There was a birthmark on my wrist. One I haven't had since I was 11. I ran to the bathroom. Turned on the light. Looked into the mirror I'd duct taped and covered in sheets. And I saw it. My face. But not the one I've grown into. Younger. Cleaner. My childhood face. Somehow, impossibly, it's reversed. Like someone hit rewind on my biology. My phone recognizes me. But Face ID only works if I hold the phone upside down. I think it's resetting me. Rewriting me. Not just mentally, physically. Each day, my memories shift slightly. I remember being left-handed. I wasn't. I remember a dog named Sawyer. I never had a dog. My grandma's name? Not Miriam anymore. It's Celia. There are photos in the drawer that I've never taken. People I've never met. Vacations I never went on. But my handwriting is on the backs. Summer trip 2012, Niagara Falls. You screamed at the birds, remember? I didn't. But I do now. The memories aren't mine, but they're becoming mine. Which means I'm not me anymore. The house is different too. I've stopped pretending I can explain how. Some nights, there are extra doors. Other nights, the hallway never ends. The attic leads to the basement. The basement leads to the guest room. And the guest room is full of mirrors. Each one with a version of me. Not all of them are alive. Some just lay there. Mouths open. Others move, but don't blink. One pressed its face against the glass and whispered, "I miss her." When I asked who, it just banged its head until the glass cracked. Then smiled. I called the police once. That was 2 weeks ago. They came. Walked the perimeter. Checked the doors, the rooms. Said it all looked fine. I begged them to go to the basement. They smiled. Said there wasn't a basement. I asked again. One of them leaned in and whispered in a voice I recognized. "There used to be. We sealed it from the inside." Then he winked. And walked away. I found a journal in the wall today. Tucked between the studs. Wrapped in wax paper. Bound in string. It wasn't mine. But it was. Written in my hand. But dated 5 years from now. Most pages are torn or rotted, but the last few entries are still readable. One line repeats across them all. The reflection is the original. I am the copy. And the very last page? Just this. I watched myself crawl out. I said nothing. I deserved this. I tried to destroy it. Fire didn't touch it. Water only made the ink clearer. I buried it in the yard, but it was back on my pillow the next morning. Open. To that same last line. I saw Ryan again. Not in person. On my phone. A notification from the camera feed I disconnected weeks ago. Motion detected, front porch. I opened the app. There he was. Standing there. Expression blank. Face pale. One hand slowly knocking on the door. I ran to it. Swung it open. Nothing. Just an envelope on the ground. Inside, a photo. Ryan and me. At the beach. Smiling. But there's a third figure in the background. Barely visible. Standing in the water. Head tilted. Smile wide. Skin gray. That night, I saw Ryan in the mirror. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He looked like me. He mouthed something. You're still in the basement. Then the mirror shattered from the inside. And I woke up on the couch. With water pooling around my feet. I don't know what this house is anymore. I don't know what I am. But I'm starting to think the mirror wasn't the source. It was the invitation. The door. The crack between the worlds. And we opened it. With our eyes. I'm leaving this log somewhere safe. If you find it, if you read this, burn the house down. Don't wait. Don't investigate. Don't wonder. Just burn it. Salt the ground. And pray nothing climbs out of the ashes. Today I woke up somewhere else. It wasn't the couch. It wasn't my bed. It wasn't even a room I recognized. It was dark, like pitch black, windowless, tomb dark, but I could still see. That's the first sign something was wrong. There was no source of light. No bulbs. No candles. But the room was dimly lit anyway, like the shadows had learned how to glow. The floor was slick. The walls pulsed like lungs. I stood, heart hammering, and realized I wasn't alone. There were mirrors lining the walls. Dozens of them. All different shapes and sizes. Oval. Rectangular. Fractured. Handheld. Antique. And every single one was showing me. But different. Some younger. Some older. Some missing eyes. Some smiling. Some crying. Some not blinking at all. One mirror showed me covered in blood, hands trembling. Another showed me whispering to someone off screen. A third showed me burning. And in one, the mirror was broken, shattered from the inside. That one was empty. I walked the room, slowly. Every step echoed in ways that didn't match my movements. The reflections didn't move with me. They just watched. It felt like they were waiting for something. Then I noticed the center of the room. A platform. Wooden. Rotting. Familiar. And on top of it, tied to a chair with thick, tarry rope. Me. But unconscious. Or dead. I stepped closer. The me in the chair stirred, eyelids fluttering. Then opened. And he screamed. Not words. Just raw, gurgling panic. His mouth stretched impossibly wide, jaw dislocating with a wet crack. Blood dripped from the corners. And then he spoke, his voice was mine, but warped, layered. Like it echoed through too many mouths at once. You're not supposed to be here. The mirrors rattled. All of them. The reflections began to shake, bodies convulsing, faces distorting into masks of agony and rage. Then the lights, if you could call them that, flickered. And everything stopped. Silence. Stillness. Until a soft footstep echoed behind me. I turned. It was the smiling one. The first one I ever saw. The one who raised his hand when I didn't. He looked the same. Pale. Calm. Grin stretching ear to ear. I missed you, he said. I swallowed. What is this place? His smile widened. Home. You've always been here. No. I left. He stepped forward. You think you left. You think he escaped. But this is the real world now. He gestured to the mirrors. We all come back here eventually. I shook my head. No. I buried the mirror. I sealed the house. Do you remember what happened after that? He asked. I opened my mouth. Then closed it. Because I didn't. Not clearly. Just a blur. Screams. Hands. A light bulb shattering. Then. Silence. Darkness. This. He took another step. Let me show you, he said. He reached out and touched my forehead. The room collapsed. I saw flashes, rapid, jagged like broken film reels. Ryan. Standing in the doorway, eyes wide. Me. Screaming. Holding the mirror. The attic. The basement. The two versions of me merging in the reflection. My skin turning gray. My eyes going dark. The house swallowing me whole. And then, nothing. Not sleep. Not death. Just waiting. Until now. When the vision ended, I was back in the room. The mirrors were gone. So was the me in the chair. So was the platform. Just me. And him. Why? I whispered. Why me? He tilted his head. Because you looked. Then he stepped backward. Into the wall. And vanished. I woke up on the floor of the hallway. The real hallway. The house was quiet. Still. The walls no longer pulsed. The lights were normal. My phone lay next to me. Dead. But intact. I stood. Walked slowly to the kitchen. Sat at the table. And realized, I remembered everything now. The real house. The mirror world. The others. The reflections. They were all me. All different versions. Each one who'd looked too long. Who'd touched the glass. Who'd tried to fix it. Escape it. Understand it. All absorbed. Stored. Watched. And I had become one of them. But something's different this time. I still feel myself. Still feel human. Which means maybe I'm not trapped yet. Maybe I still have time. Maybe, if I write this all down, leave a breadcrumb trail, I can warn someone. Help someone else avoid the fate I couldn't. Because that's what the mirror wants. To be seen. That's how it spreads. It doesn't need to be moved. It just needs to be looked at. One glance. One curious moment. That's all it takes. So here's what you do. If you find the house, don't go inside. If you go inside, don't look in the mirror. If you look, don't smile. And if you smile, you're already gone. There's knocking at the door now. Slow. Rhythmic. Patient. I know who it is. It's me. The knocking stopped an hour ago. I didn't open the door. Not because I was brave. But because I knew what I'd see. Not just a version of me, but the worst version. The one who smiled when I didn't. The one who moved when I was still. The one who's been watching since the beginning. But that's not the part that scares me now. What scares me is that I wanted to let him in. Not out of fear. Out of longing. Because this house, this world, whatever it is, feels more real now than the one I came from. And I'm starting to forget which one is the illusion. I tried leaving again. Packed a bag. Took my phone. Stepped onto the porch. Everything was fine. The sky was blue. The street was quiet. I walked. Block after block. But every turn brought me back to the same intersection. The one with the crooked stop sign. The yellow mailbox. And the mailbox had my name on it. Even though it wasn't my house. It didn't even exist on a map. I opened it. Inside were dozens of letters, all addressed to me. But in different handwriting. Some blocky. Some elegant. Some childlike. All saying the same thing. Come home. I turned around. And I was back in front of the house. The rules are breaking. That much is clear. There used to be cause and effect. Actions had consequences. Now. I burn a photo and it reappears on the wall. I smash a mirror and it reforms while I sleep. I lock a door and it opens on its own. Worse, things happen before I do them. I found a note this morning in my handwriting that read, "Don't go to the basement today." So I didn't. But when I checked my journal, I had already written. Avoided the basement, just like the note said. I never wrote that. Not consciously. Time's collapsing in on itself. I feel it. I've relived the same moment 5 times this week. Once while brushing my teeth, I looked in the mirror and saw myself doing something different, cutting my wrist. The mirror version looked me dead in the eyes, raised the razor, and smiled. Then it stopped. Dropped the blade. And mouthed, "Not this time." I've started dreaming in third person. Watching myself sleep from the ceiling. Sometimes from inside the walls. One time, I was under the floorboards. And my real body, the one on the bed, woke up. And stared directly at me. I think the house is dying. Or maybe it's waking up. The walls are breathing again. The floorboards bleed when I walk. There's something crawling behind the wallpaper. I can hear it skittering. The lights flicker in Morse code now. I don't know what it says, but I've started copying it down. Ryan would know. If he still existed. I tried to look him up yesterday. There's no record of him. Not in my phone. Not online. Not even in the yearbooks I found in the attic. But I remember him. I remember his laugh. His fear. His face when he saw the mirror smile. So either I'm insane. Or I'm the only one left who knows what's real. I went back to the attic mirror today. The oval one. It was waiting. This time, it showed something new. Not just reflections. Not me. It showed the inside of the mirror. And there were so many of me inside it. Hundreds. All staring out. All pressing their palms to the glass. Some were children. Some were old. Some were skeletal. Some had no eyes. All of them were silent. But one looked up. Made eye contact with me. And whispered. "You're the last." I screamed. Threw a chair at the mirror. It shattered. Really shattered. For the first time since this nightmare began, a mirror actually broke and stayed broken. I laughed. I cried. I collapsed. But then the room started to shift. Like the house didn't like what I'd done. The floor twisted. The walls shook. The mirror shards vibrated. And in each piece, each tiny shard, I saw a different me. And they were all screaming. I tried to run. The stairs didn't lead down anymore. They led up. Then sideways. Then into the hallway closet. I ran through the house for hours, couldn't find the front door, the kitchen, even the couch. It's all gone now. Or moved. Or never existed. I eventually passed out on the floor of what used to be the bathroom. When I woke up, I was holding a photo. Of me. Sitting in this exact spot. With the caption. "You knew this was coming." The laughing's back. It comes from the floorboards now. And sometimes from inside my own throat. I don't make the sound. But I feel it vibrate in my chest. Like someone else is using my lungs. My hands. My eyes. Writing this. I found another journal. This one wasn't mine. It was dated 1932. The name inside. Abraham Howell. My great-great-grandfather. He described finding the mirror. How he spoke to it. How it started showing him a better version of his life, one where his wife didn't die, where he wasn't a recluse. Then one day, it showed him himself. Older. Wiser. Stronger. The other version offered him a deal. To switch. To become the better version. Abraham agreed. And was never seen again. Until now. Because in the final page of his journal, he wrote. "The mirror is not a window. So maybe that's what this all is. Not magic. Not madness. Just a feeding ground. And every reflection is a trap. Every mirror a mouth. And I was stupid enough to feed it." I hear knocking again. Not at the door. From the inside of the walls. They're trying to get out. Or maybe. They're trying to let me in. The knocking has stopped again. But this time, they didn't leave. They came in. I don't remember unlocking the doors. I don't remember opening anything. But I can feel them now, inside the house. Inside me. The reflections aren't separate anymore. They bleed into every part of my day. I go to pour water, my hand jerks on its own. I blink, and I'm in the attic. I speak, and I hear two voices leave my mouth. My thoughts are no longer private. There's always an echo. Earlier today, I found something new. A door behind the fireplace. I don't know how I didn't see it before. Or maybe it wasn't there before. But now it is. A narrow wooden door, small and crooked, tucked behind the crumbling bricks. No handle. Just a keyhole. And hanging from a nail above it, was a mirror shard. Long, jagged. Cold to the touch. The moment I picked it up, the walls began to hum. Like the house knew the door had been noticed. I knelt. Placed the shard into the keyhole. It fit perfectly. I turned. The door clicked. And opened. There was no room behind it. Just a hallway. Narrow. Pitch black. But again, somehow I could see. The floor was covered in glass. Mirrors, hundreds of them, fused together, sharp and groaning with every step. The walls pulsed with memories, not mine. Other lives. Other versions of me. One was drowning. One was burning. One knelt in a hospital waiting room, whispering prayers that never reached anything listening. Another sat alone in a padded cell, whispering, "It's not my reflection. It's not mine. It's not." I kept walking. My feet cut on the glass. I didn't stop. Not until I reached the chamber. That's the only word for it. A vast room. Circular. A dome of reflective surfaces, walls, floor, ceiling, all mirror. But none of them showed me. They showed him. The one who smiled. Dozens of him. Hundreds. All grinning. All facing inward. Toward the center of the chamber. Where there was one final mirror. Tall. Framed in blackened iron. Its surface was still. Not glass. Not smoke. Something deeper. Like staring into oil that was alive. As I stepped forward, the reflections turned, in unison, to face me. They didn't move otherwise. Just turned. And grinned wider. Then the central mirror spoke. Not in words. In thought. A presence pressing into my skull. And it said, "You are the last piece." I staggered back. "No," I whispered. "No, I didn't agree to this." A whisper from behind me answered. "You looked. That was enough." I turned, one of the smiling versions stepped out from the wall. Then another. And another. They were surrounding me now. Encircling. Pressing in. I screamed. Ran. But there was no door anymore. Only mirrors. All showing me, beaten, bloody, broken. And one reflection. One. Showed me still on the couch, eyes wide open, lips trembling. Trapped. Watching. Then I understood. The mirror didn't want to trap me. It wanted to copy me. Not once. Not even 100 times. But endlessly. Until it became me. Until it replaced the real with the reflected. Until the mirror world swallowed this one whole. I stumbled toward the center. The tall mirror pulsed. Thirsty. I looked into it. And for the first time. Saw nothing. No room. No house. No me. Just void. And then. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Warm. Familiar. Ryan. His voice, behind me, "It's not too late. I turned. He was older. Eyes tired. Hair gray at the temples. But it was him. I didn't speak. He nodded toward the tall mirror. Break it. I hesitated. I've tried. Not this one, he said. This is the source. I looked around. The reflection started moving. Not walking, melting. Their faces sloughing off like wax, their eyes dripping down their cheeks. I grabbed a shard from the floor. Lifted it high. The mirror shimmered. And I slammed the shard into it with every ounce of strength I had. Once. Twice. 3. On the fourth strike, it cracked. The reflection screamed. The chamber shook. The glass shattered. The world exploded in white. I woke up on the floor of the living room. Morning light poured through the curtains. The couch was intact. The walls were clean. The air was fresh. No blood. No rot. No voices. Just silence. And sunlight. I stood. Checked the basement. Gone. No hidden room. No mirror. The attic? Empty. No mirror. No hallway. Just insulation and dust. I ran to the fireplace. No door behind it. Just bricks. Just stone. I collapsed on the floor, gasping. And I laughed. That was 3 days ago. Everything's been normal since. I even got a message from Ryan, the real Ryan, asking if I wanted to meet up. I said yes. We're meeting tomorrow. And for the first time in months, I feel free. But last night, as I passed by the hallway mirror, I saw something. Not me. Not exactly. Just a flicker. A face. In the corner. Watching. Not smiling. Just waiting. So I'm writing this now. Not as a warning. Not even as a confession. But as a record. In case it starts again. In case I'm wrong. In case you find yourself standing in front of a mirror. And notice something's just a bit off. Don't smile. Don't blink. Don't look too long. And for the love of God, don't wave.